Tuning kit mounting for Weihrauch HW 35.
Bay State Red Wolf Heritage Huben K1 at the shooting range.
Steyr Pro X.
Servus, thanks for dropping in.
Yeah. Yeah. Servus, thanks for dropping in. First of all, I want to welcome Michael. Thanks for taking the time. Michael is my trusted gunsmith. Today we are mounting a tuning kit in this beautiful HW35 that AirGhandi gave us. It's an AirGhandi tuning kit 7.5 joule. There's also an export or FAC version with 16 joule for people with a suitable permit or that are living outside of Germany and want the full power of the HW35. Representatively, we are mounting the 7.5 joule kit today. Michael will now start the process while I am giving you some more information. Have fun! I brought a tuning kit while Michael is loosening the 3 screws holding the stock with a slotted screwdriver. 2 of them at the grip and 1 more at the front stock. Here you can see the cool laser effect inside the box. There's also a manual in there, which you won't need if you watch this video. And yeah, here are the different components. I will show you step by step. Okay, the system is now separated from the stock. I'm just handing over the crab tape. You can use it to save the system from scratches. Of course, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but we'll place a few strips here so we don't damage this beautiful gun. At first we will remove the trigger now by pushing the splints out. Pushing out is always from the right side, meaning we have the right side of the gun up and push them out. Pushing in then happens on the left side. Michael now removes the trigger and both splints. Yeah, perfect. And when removing it, make sure you don't lose this little spring. Michael now opens the system. There is a bit of tension on it. But yeah, there's no reason to be afraid. In different forums you often read that there's high pressure on it. You just saw it with 7.5 joule, the pressure is really low and Michael could do it with his bare hands easily. Of course it's different with an export version. So now we remove the splint of the cocking lever. We loosened it a bit beforehand. Maybe it sits a bit tighter for you. Same with the end piece. If you got it straight from Weihrauch and open it the first time, you may have to use a screwdriver or something similar to have more leverage and it will open. Next we remove the piston. The HW35 piston has another inner shell, but it is a quite heavy one. We will replace this later with the lighter, only 3-gram aluminum shell. Michael loosens the inner shell and pulls it out. We put it aside. You can already see it's pretty heavy. Well, heavy, but I bet it's around 30 grams. The job of the inner shell is to hold the grease inside the piston so it doesn't leak out. Next we remove the piston seal and I'll show you the new one. It is a replica of the original VMAC seal. It is a bit firmer than the Weihrauch and we will... where is it? Yeah, we will coat it with the seal grease and it will be easier to put it on then. Here less is definitely more, there's no need for a thick coat, just use the brush from the box. AirGhandi really thought of everything. So no dirty fingers. There are even some gloves in the box, but Michael, as a true gunsmith, doesn't need them. But yeah, you can use them to save some time cleaning your hands afterwards. You see it, since we greased it up a bit, it goes back on the piston easily. We will later use the seal grease to put it on the outside of the seal, but it is super important that nothing gets on top of the seal. It would end up in the compression chamber and burn away. Just grease the outer ring. To clean the inner system, we just use a stick with some paper towels around it. You see Michael turning it around, and it was well worth the effort to remove some of that gunk in there. Now for greasing. First of all, we put seal grease on the outer ring of the seal. Again, less is more, which counts for every greasing of the system, basically. Use it sparingly. You get 15 grams of every grease, and I'm sure it will last forever. Again, no grease should get on top of it. You also see that it is a concave seal, which is a sign of high quality. Form and material wise, a replica of the VMAX seal. Next, we will also put grease on the inner bar of the piston. Now you see that Michael put the grease on the inner bar where the piston rail will later be pushed over. And wherever metal meets plastic, we are using the seal grease. Here you go, and here's the next piece out of the box. It's this 3-gram shell that is much lighter than the original one. Michael is already pushing it in with the opening on the opposite side of this window in the piston. So the grease on the inside can come out. The spikes point downwards again, like when we open it, and now you can push it in with the spring a bit. Now's the moment when we unpack the heart and soul of the tuning kit. Let me show it to you. Up here is the top hat, down there is the lower spring guide, and now the special part. It moves really smooth. You see nothing is shaking or rattling, because that would mean a loss of precision. But it's also not too tight, so it can glide smoothly after greasing it up. If it sits too tight, you wouldn't get a constant V0, because it would jam and your shots have different power. And yeah, the most important thing is to get a constant V0 or constant speed with your gun. I'll just hand it over to you, and we use it to push in the piston shell. Next, we grab the washers from the tuning kit, and just removing them. It's 3 metal washers, and we put one of these on the piston bar. It will be pushed in when we are adding the new spring later. The other washers are just for fine-tuning, meaning the kit is set to 7.5 Joule with JSB exact pellets. If after 100 shots you realize something's missing, some power, you can either put these synthetic washers on the spring guard or the metal washers on the piston bar. Always metal to metal or synthetic to synthetic. But like I said, only if the power is off, which I don't expect since the kits are very well calibrated. Michael just removes the grease from the guard and the spring, because AirGhandi coats the parts with a little oil, so it doesn't rust in case it sits on your shelf for a while. This oil should be removed with a paper or fabric towel just before you start. Yeah. Now that's done, so let's start greasing. We start with the seal grease again, since it is metal on synthetic again. A super fine coat for the spring guard. And I'm preparing the next step and unpack the spring grease. There's 15 gram again, and it is also original VMAC grease. I'm handing it to Michael so he can put it on the outside of the spring with the effect that the gun will shoot less loud. Exactly, on the outside for silencing. Now that we have some room between the cocking lever and the system, we can grease these parts with the airgun grease from the kit. I said to use not much of it already. With a silver system, even less, since black on silver does not look good. Yeah, it will be inside of the stock later, but still. So yeah, a super fine coat, and this helps reduce the creaky noise that brake barrels tend to make while folding them. Now we greased it, so off to the next step. We are putting the piston back into the system. For that task we have this plastic sheet in the box, which Michael will insert into the system now. It will save the piston seal from super fine burrs around the drill holes that could damage it. Sorry. So we push the sheet in 2/3 of the length, followed by the piston with the open side on top for the cocking lever. Now the piston goes in half the way. I'll show you. Oh, yeah, he was faster than I am. We just passed the seal with the plastic sheet, and after that you can remove it easily. Now we can push it back again a bit and put some airgun grease on the top side of it. Metal on metal again here, so airgun grease. Now we have to be careful when pushing the piston seal over this point here. It might get caught there, so we push it down carefully with a screwdriver to not damage it. And here we go. Next we grease the inner shell up with the airgun grease, because the cocking lever will move along here and yeah, it will slide better. Again, super fine coating with the brush. AirGhandi really thought about everything. Like I said, you could even wear the gloves and keep your hands clean. Michael now aligns the window with the guard and puts the arm back in. And now we grab the pivot pin from the kit and the little screw with T8 Torx. I'm handing it over. And he just put in the pin from the right. You can test from which side it works better for you. Michael was happy on the right. And now he tightens the screw on the other side. What's great about it, if you open up the system again, you don't have to remove the barrel. With the AirGhandi pivot pin, you can leave it where it is and save a lot of time. It's a real pain in the ass to get it in line with the screw, the small washers and the system itself, and you can skip that. I have an export spring here for comparison. It's not only longer but also thicker, and pushing it in with the end piece is not doable by hand anymore. AirGhandi is already working on a prototype, a tool to help you mount stronger springs. Just check airghandi.de. Before we now put the system together, we have another little helping tool. Please don't use it to brush your teeth afterwards. We are using an old toothbrush with a bit of AirGhandi grease on it. Now we can grease the system behind the thread, so it will glide better. Okay, thanks. Now we push. Yeah, Michael is doing it right. I was wrong. We now define in which orientation the end piece has to be put in, so it attaches correctly and can be screwed in after we use some force. Now Michael puts the greased spring into the greased system. And he remembered the correct orientation, and now he just screws it in. Of course, we check for a perfect alignment here. And next we put the trigger back in. First the safety with a little spring. He pushes the safety in while doing the same with the trigger. And now that's the fidgety part, to get everything in line and both splints will fit through. Well, that looks perfect. That's the part I struggled with, but yeah, it always worked out. And the second one. This is what it looks like when a professional does it. Perfect. Okay, the trigger is in. And now we can put this beautiful stock back on. 2 screws with the slotted screwdriver. And the last one, the little one. Yes, now we are testing the function. Safety works. Trigger is fine. Perfect. That's how easy it is to mount the AirGhandi tuning kit. You will see the difference after putting in the kit. It is amazing, a huge difference. We are also using an AirGhandi tuning trigger here. Both products and the tuning safety are available at diabolo.de/en. Here the 7.5 Joule version and also FAC and export versions. Thanks a lot for your work, Michael. You're the one who made the video professional. I'd say see you soon. Ciao, servus, says AirGhandi.